and welcome to my channel. Let's do a horror book haul. So I've gone to thrift stores, I've gone to Barnes & Noble, I've received some ARCs, so let's dive right into it. I went to this place called the Used Book Superstore, which is one of my favorite places to go, local to me. It has books, used books, and it also has DVDs, which I also picked up a ton of horror movies that I'll include in a different haul. But I like to go there to score some Stephen King books as well as some hidden gems. This is all of the Stephen King I picked up from my last visit. So I picked up another copy of It. I have several copies of this book now. It's one of my favorite Stephen King books of all time. I know the sewer scene I don't like it, okay? But I cannot resist a beat up old paperback edition of any Stephen King book, but particularly It, and I didn't have this edition, so I'm excited to add it to my collection. For those of you who don't know, it is about a group of children who are being terrorized by this evil entity who takes form of their fears, and he's most notably known as Pennywise the Clown, and they have to defeat him, and then they come back years later, 27 years later to be exact, to finally put a stop to his reign. Then I picked up this beat up old paperback edition of Different Seasons. This is a short story collection from Stephen King that includes Stand By Me, which I have not read, and I believe it includes The Mist, which I have read as its own separate novella. Then I picked up this edition of The Dark Half, which is about a man who I believe has like a doppelganger or a dark half basically, and he has visions of these twisted things that are happening. Like I think he has visions of serial killings and he thinks he might be involved. I could be wrong with that. I've heard good things, but this cover intrigues me because it looks like there's like a dragon on it. I don't understand it. Then I found this bad boy, Cujo, which is a Stephen King classic about a dog who gets bit by a bat, I believe, and gets rabies, and he attacks this mother and her young child and terrorizes them over the course of the story. I love this copy, and I'm interested to read it because I don't know, does it tell the story from Cujo's perspective? Because I think that could be interesting to read, but also weird. It's also relatively short for a Stephen King book. It's like a little over 300 pages, so it seems like a quickie. Not a quickie is The Stand, which I found this first time complete and uncut edition of The Stand. A lot of people love The Stand. It's a lot of Stephen King fans' favorite Stephen King novel. It's ginormous and I'm very intimidated to read it. It's about a plague that overtakes the world and it follows a group of survivors. Kind of want to read this next. It's just the length scares me. Like I think this will take me weeks if not months to get through. So yeah, let me know if you're interested in seeing a reading vlog of that. So that is it for Stephen King, but I did pick up some other books. I picked up a book by Stephen King's son, Joe Hill, the fireman. I believe this was about a plague that causes people to like catch fire spontaneously. It's set in New England, which I love. I loved Nosferatu by Joe Hill, and I need to read more by him, so this one is huge too. He's just like his dad. Then I picked up this copy of Hidden Pictures. I believe this was voted best horror book of 2022 in the Goodreads Choice Awards. I've heard mixed things about this, so I don't know what to expect. I've heard that it's really good for most of the book and then it has a ridiculous ending. It's about a babysitter, a nanny or something, who starts babysitting for this kid and he's kind of weird and he draws really creepy pictures that I think get increasingly more sinister over the course of the story. I think there's a lot more involved there, but it sounds intriguing. Then this is from Savers. I picked up a few books including Rebecca, which is a book that's been on my list for years. I've been trying to find this every time I go to the thrift store and I finally found it. And you know what? Since I found it, I've been seeing it at every thrift store I go to now. It's like when you get a new car and you see it everywhere on the road. Rebecca is a gothic romance. It's about a woman who marries this bachelor. She moves into his estate and she discovers that he has some skeletons in his closet basically, and I think the place is haunted by the ghost of the women of his past. So I'm excited to read this finally. Then I picked up Rising by Brian Keene. This is a zombie apocalypse story and I've heard some decent things about this. I've also heard some great things about Brian Keene, so I'm excited to finally check him out. It's a zombie story. I feel like zombies are coming back. They're making a comeback right now with The Last of Us and I'm in a zombie apocalypse mood. And then I found From Below by Darcy Coates. Darcy Coates I've never read anything by her. I always see her on people's lists. She's described as cozy horror, which is sometimes I need cozy horror. I need to just be able to relax and not be totally destroyed mentally. I'm hoping that this one will be easy to read and easy to get to, but boy is it thick. It's about a dive team that are exploring this famous wreckage under the water, obviously, and I believe that there's some ghosts involved. I love stories set in water. Anything underground and in the ocean is terrifying to me. There's so many things that can go wrong. Aside from just ghostly things, just the fact that you're in the water, that's terrifying. Anything can get you in the water, and you also have the danger of drowning. Water stuff freaks me out, so I'm excited to check this one out. Then I received this ARC from Tor Nightfire. It's Pinata. This comes out March 2023. It's from Leopold Gout, and this is a possession story about a young single mother who's with her 2 daughters in Mexico as she's renovating an ancient abbey, and something happens on the dig site where she loses her job and she's sent back home to New York, but they do not return alone. And I believe that something follows them from the ancient dig site and possesses someone in this family. It's giving me The Exorcist vibes, and The Exorcist is one of my favorite horror movies and horror books of all time. I've already started this one and it feels very promising to me, so I'm hoping it lives up to my expectations, but so far so good. So then I was having a really bad day and I was like, I need to go to Barnes & Noble just to look, and then I picked up episode 13 by Craig DeLuey. This has everything I want in a horror story. It's basically a found footage horror book, and it includes a bunch of mixed media stuff, and I believe it's about a paranormal investigation series that is investigating this haunted place, and something goes wrong, obviously. So you're reading interviews and transcripts. It sounds so good and right up my alley. Found footage horror is my absolute fave, and I want more found footage horror in books. So I think this is going to be my next read. And then, because I am enjoying Pinata by Leopold Gout so much, I saw this other book, Ghost Radio by Leopold Gout, and I had to pick it up because I also love anything having to do with the radio. Ponypool is one of my favorite horror movies of all time because it's so simple but effective, and it's set entirely around a radio station. And this, I believe, it sounded similar to me. Like, it takes place at a radio station and it's following this guy, and something is obviously off, something ghostly. It's called Ghost Radio. So I'm excited to dig into this one as well. I love the cover. I'm hoping it's gonna give me those Ponypool vibes that I desperately need. There you have it. Those are all of the horror books I picked up recently. Let me know what books you've picked up recently. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will catch you next time. Bye.